Today, the term mentor and the relationship it represents means as much as it did 27 years ago when the Winter Roundtable instituted the award through the leadership of Robert T. Carter. This despite the fact that today, people actually have more access to resources than ever before. Greater educational attainment, higher incomes, both individually and by household, marital and parental rights for all people, basic rights and resources. However, as we know, that much more has not changed and has actually even regressed, especially when it comes to attitudes and behaviors about race, gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, and poverty. And these days, there's what I will call the regression to the mean. The muzzling of free minds and voices continues at the highest levels of our government. For example, and I know this seems like 100 years ago today, but when Senator Elizabeth Warren, in her role as an elected representative of the people, was stopped by the Senate Majority Leader as she rightfully read the words of none other than Coretta Scott King. This is what the senator was told by her congressional leader. She was warned, she was given an explanation, nevertheless, she persisted. Well, my goodness, if our elected leaders feel free to quiet one of their own fellow senators in such a public fashion, imagine how the rest of us here in this room and beyond can expect to be treated. If your answer to that question inspires fear and the feeling of being threatened, if not for you, then your loved ones, your family, well, guess what, folks? That's exactly what these kinds of acts are intended to do. As a psychologist with a strong social justice identity, I've become well-versed on the many consequences of oppression, such as racism, sexism, heterosexism, ableism, transphobia, classism, and that's not even a complete list. In particular, how these negative forces can become internalized as part of our own psyche, and we come to actually believe the things about ourselves and each other that are not only negative, but plainly false. We often hear today the important phrase, resist. That word resist has been used time and again, actually, by many multicultural psychologists and counselors as actually an intervention, as a means of overcoming these oppressive messages, words, actions that cause psychological damage. For culturally competent mental health professionals today, the word resist is a positive, critical step to wellness, empowerment, social engagement, advocacy, and change. So the millions protesting in the streets every day, every week, as well as through tweets and social media, they're actually engaged in important psychological interventions meant to address social injustice. This is the key lesson I learned from my many mentors in this field, starting with Janet Helms. Resistance is not futile. In fact, it may be essential to your mental health and that of your family and your community's health. If you're feeling right now that the issues that affect you as a human being, as a person, for example, your immigration status, your gender identity, your religious beliefs or lack thereof, your native and spoken languages, your gender, your sexual orientation, your race, your ethnicity, your socioeconomic status, your abilities have some political impact, what actually has been mislabeled and minimized as the term identity politics, you are right. And these aspects of ourselves profoundly affect so much of our lives,